What's up, everybody? Welcome to Bet the Edge, the college football takeover presented by BetMGM Sportsbooks. I'm here with Eric Froton and Vaughn Delzell, and I'm Brad Thomas, and we're going to get into the nitty gritty. We didn't have a chance to talk about the final playoff format, the final playoff rankings. There are 4 or 5 teams that were left out that were all too deserving. Alabama, South Carolina, Ole Miss, Miami, even Iowa State had a little bit of a claim. Fellas, I'll start with you, Vaughn. Biggest takeaway from anybody who might have got snubbed. You can even talk about SMU and how they lost in their championship game and still got in.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's Clemson and SMU getting in here. I mean, the college football playoff, we all kind of understood that the precedent would probably be that 3 lost teams will likely not get in unless you win your conference championship. So Clemson is the 3 lost team to get in. But you can argue that South Carolina, Alabama, Ole Miss, they're all better teams than Clemson and SMU. I mean, SMU, to me, Brad, four lost Louisville team, 5 lost Pitt team. Those are probably your most impressive victories. Okay, so I'm not in love with the fact that SMU got in, but I understand the argument because they only lost 1 regular season game compared to teams that lost 3. So, strength of schedule, conference realignments, all these things play into how I felt about it. But yeah, I felt like an SEC school should have got in, considering that we had 6 of them in consideration for 12 spots entering the final week. I mean, that conference is hard to win in. So, yeah, SMU, I don't like the smell of it. Hope they lose right away. How about you, Eric?
Yeah, well, I mean, from my opinion, this has brought forth a pretty interesting conversation. That is, we have 12 teams, but what happens immediately as soon as the SEC gets shunned? Well, hell hath no fury.
Yeah.
Like the SEC scorned. So you start hearing about 14 teams next year. Obviously, the magic number that I think we all want to get to is the magic 16, which then would get, I mean, gosh, if we get 16, then it would have been an SEC parade in the back end here. But it's really opened up the conversation about how many teams is the right number. And it's also opened up the conversation about, okay, the SEC, yeah, you wanted this life. You wanted to bring in Texas and Oklahoma. You wanted the super conference. Well, in response, here's what you get. This is how it goes. All right. So a potentially inferior team, such as Clemson, wins their, conference. SMU only has 2 losses, loses one of them to a conference winner. And it just becomes a case of, all right, SEC, they're going to complain a lot. Well, play 9 SEC games instead of 8. They got 4 non-conference games. And we've seen some of the non-conference slates out of the SEC teams.
Yeah.
Borderline laughable, some of them. Yeah, some of them, they're just like, all right, we'll take our 4 teams. We'll just take our 4 paycheck games, and then we're done. Well, here you go. All right, you wanted your 8 SEC games because you're the greatest conference in the world. Trust me, we hear about it all the time. We have Big Ten broadcast rights here on NBC. So, we are a little slanted, I would say, in that analysis. But the SEC, schedule tougher off-conference opponents. I don't want to hear any complaints. You lost 3 games. That's the rules. Those are the breaks. Let's see if we can get 16 teams and make sure that everybody's happy.
How about a play-in? How about that, Brad?
A play-in game, that'd be insane. No, I don't think any team who loses multiple games could ever complain about being left in or left out. I will say this, Eric, you say the SEC should add another game. The SEC is already dominating in strength of schedule. They add another conference game, take out a Mercer, take out a Chattanooga, then they're going to have no absolute reason to take them out when it's going to be the SEC with the highest strength of schedule. Whatever. SMU gets in. I hope they at least put up a fight, right? I'm rooting for Rhett Lashley, but I told you boys, Rhett Lashley was not winning that game after I heard him talk like the most soft guy on the internet about, well, if we lose, we should still get in. That I already had my bet locked in.
That's the Alabama bias, Brad. This is your Alabama talking.
I mean, you don't want to hear that from your head coach.
I didn't say one thing pro Alabama. All I said was, if you lose multiple games, you have no excuse to get in. I just said Rhett Lashley was talking like not a winner when he was making complaints before the game even started. Yeah. That's all I was saying. But let's go through the first round. Just give me like a quick thoughts, and I'll start with you, Eric. Clemson, Texas.
Yeah, well, I mean, obviously Clemson and Texas, I think it's the highest spread we have at this point. Yeah. In terms of the spread. And it says a lot, which is Clemson has to go in there and deal in Austin with the University of Texas, which there's only been one team to beat them, and it was Georgia. And they were close. That last game was very close. Could have gone either way, obviously. Now, Carson Beck's injury had something to do with that. But, Clemson definitely is going to be up against the wall here. 11.5 points, I think, is right around where we're getting to. I have my questions about what do you guys think on this? I'm curious because I have my questions, of course.
We've kind of spoke on multiple times now about Clemson. In their biggest games, the amount of points that they score, and it's never enough. It's never more, than 24 points or whatever. And their game against SMU, they got out to that big first half lead, but that fourth quarter, they came near blowing that game and took that field goal. But, whatever Clemson's team total is, I'm going to look at probably playing an under on that. I think that's my initial reaction to this game. I do think Texas is probably 2 touchdowns better than Clemson. Cade Klubnik, he's had great games this year, but he's also had a lot of inconsistency, and that comes with their offense playing against their best opponents. So by far, the best opponent Clemson plays. I like Texas a lot. I think they can't smack them up, Brad.
I'm actually on the other side, and it's not about smacking them up. I just think we're going to see a low-scoring game here. I think Clemson hangs around. Clemson, they came out of the traps real hot in the ACC championship. Coaching experience played a big part. Yes, this will be Sark's second rodeo in the playoffs, but I still think Dabo's just ready to get his boys poised. That loss to Georgia, I don't know if that was, hey, we're already in, who cares, right? Or that was an embarrassing loss, right? They had the lead. Carson Beck goes down. As Mr. Steve Sarkisian, you have to be licking your chops saying, there's no way we lose this now, right? Like, we are in the driver's seat. I think 11.5 is a lot of points, but Texas probably get the job done. Let's go to the next game in Columbus, Ohio. Tennessee, number 9, number 8, Ohio State. This is still more than a touchdown spread. Goes straight back to you, Vaughn. First, I actually want to tell you this. Tennessee linebacker saying, they've played in difficult places. The shoe is not going to be tough to play. You think they're going to be coming in this game with some fury as Tennessee? Do they have a chance to upset?
Oh, yeah. I think they do. I'm holding the Ohio State plus 475 ticket to win national championship. I'm ready to rip it up. I don't believe in the Buckeyes anymore, and I think that us seeing a lot of these spreads, albeit a touchdown or higher, gives us incentive for some of these underdogs. And I think Tennessee's probably a good underdog in Columbus because it'll be a lower scoring game. Tennessee has become a defensive team this year, not like years past. So, I like the Vols. They got a chance. How about you, Eric?
Well, 5 of Ohio State's last 6 games have gone under this 47.5 point game total. The only exception was their big statement game against Indiana, where they were keeping on the gas. Tennessee scored 28 points or less against 6 of their 7 SEC opponents, besides Mississippi State, because their defense, it doesn't even count anymore. But I think, I could see an Ohio State-Michigan type script with Tennessee's elite, potentially the best in the country, run defense.
Yes.
Grinding down the game, shorting possessions. I don't think they want to get in a shootout. I'm leaning 47.5 points on the under of the game total.
Yeah, I'm leaning under, also leaning Tennessee plus 7.5. Like, big difference between that Ohio State and Indiana game. Indiana, couldn't compete in the trenches. This is a Tennessee team that, leads the country in rush defense. Chip Kelly's going to want to run the ball. My question will be, did Chip Kelly learn anything, right? Did he learn anything from the bravado that he had against Michigan, running it at Graham, the best run-stopping defensive nose guard in college football? I think that's going to be a fun game. Let's go to the next one. This is so exciting, right? Like, we get to talk about this stuff. Last year, we weren't talking about it in great detail with 4 teams. SMU at Penn State. Game's going to be cold. Happy Valley, number 11 versus number 6. I'm on Penn State already. I took Penn State minus the 8. I think that Penn State's just going to match up with the physicality. And I just don't think SMU's that good. It's going to be tough for Kevin Jennings with a hand in his face the entire game. He made some questionable throws in that Clemson game. He did bring them back to life. He was able to scramble out of the pocket, but I don't think he's going to be able to do that. Clemson is a lot worse of a team than Penn State. I think Penn State rolls in this one. Go ahead, Vaughn. Go ahead and kick that off.
Yeah, this is probably the toughest game of all to handicap, in my opinion. What do we get out of SMU? What is Penn State's incentive to win this game by more than a touchdown or 2 possessions here? A lot of these games are going to be close, I think, and this could be another one. But, yeah, I haven't had my made up on this one yet, but I'm really excited to see the official plays on this one next week because I'm setting the over 1.5 times we heard Kevin Jennings' name on this show at minus 150. So excited to hear what you guys got next week on him.
Yeah, on the other side, when it comes to the script. So SMU's defense has allowed 24 plus points in 7 games this year and have scored 28 plus in all but one contest. Both teams were in a competitive conference championship game that easily cleared their game total overs. With Penn State extremely efficient on offense, ranks second in success rate, and Clemson having a propensity to have big plays hit on them. I am taking the over 52.5 points on this game total.
Let's move into the last game here. And I didn't know which way to go. Indiana, Notre Dame, I believe it's a 7.5 point spread in this one with the favor of the Fighting Irish. I think Notre Dame wins this game, but is Notre Dame really that good? So when I went on by the book, I was, really excited to talk about Notre Dame advancing, but from covering the spread, I just didn't know, because look at Notre Dame, like they have NFL talent, like literally everywhere on that defensive side of the ball. Are they going to make Curtis Rourke's life difficult? And then and vice versa, is their offensive line going to be able to hold up against the pass rush of Indiana? Pass rush of Indiana didn't do anything against Ohio State, and I think the offensive line of Notre Dame might be comparable or a little bit better. But man, 2 teams from Indiana, South Bend. I really want to go to this game.
It's the best game.
Yeah. Oh my God, Vaughn.
This is the best game. I mean, Indiana did it.
Win?
Congratulations to the Indiana Hoosiers. You did it. I mean, this is certainly the best story, I think, of the whole college football playoff. So I'm excited. Obviously, I'm rooting for Cignetti and company, but I'll say this. Indiana, Notre Dame, and probably Penn State, those 3 teams in this bottom half of the bracket arguably have the best value to win national championship odds. They have the easiest path, considering Georgia has a backup quarterback now. Boise State, can be a one-dimensional type of team, but they still have the best running back in the country. So these 3 teams, I feel like Indiana, Notre Dame, Penn State, all are probably teams worth sprinkling or snacking on a little bit, the natty odds. And I'm not saying Notre Dame's going to win it, not by any means right now. But if you are believers of the Fighting Irish, they have the best odds at BetMGM at 9-1, considering 6.5 or 7-1 at other places right now. So make sure you're line shopping too on things like that.
Well, let's go ahead and get into that, right? Oregon comes in at the favorite at plus 350, Texas plus 350, Georgia plus 400, Ohio State plus 500. Do you have anything in pocket? I have 2. I went with Penn State. I got plus 650, and I went with Notre Dame plus 1,100. I thought they both had really good paths. And for me, it's about getting to the national championship. It's not necessarily about winning it all, because I don't want to take a short price at a plus 350 and lose, right? I can't get there. I can't hedge, but I'll be able to hedge if I get Penn State or Notre Dame there, because at worst, they'll be like a 3-point dog, and they'll still be like, I don't know, minus 200. And if I get a 11-1 at minus 200, I can still put 5 units out and still win some money. Do you have anything in pocket, Eric?
Yeah, I actually like the Notre Dame 9-1 or Indiana. I think that the path for those 2, Indiana's plus 4,000. So you're getting 40-1 on that. If they get by Notre Dame, you have a Georgia team that, they face Gunnar Stockton. Has Georgia been that dominant this year? This isn't the 2022, back-to-back Georgia dogs. Like, you're out there with Gunnar Stockton, who's barely seen the field over his collegiate career, didn't look particularly good against Texas. I think that, with a winner of that game, as you stated, has a damn good shot at beating Georgia. And if that's the case, they're in the Final Four. They're in the semis, and then anything can happen. At plus 4,000 with 900 plus 900 in Notre Dame, that bottom side of the bracket going through Georgia, I think there's value there.
Yeah, and this could be something that we certainly eat our words on, because Georgia could just come out and everyone except the quarterback just balls out, or the quarterback having 2-3 weeks to practice now. Obviously, is a very positive outcome for them. But yeah, I'm gonna agree. I have Ohio State in pocket. I'm not gonna spoil who else I put in my pocket until next week. So I'm excited to hold that information. But I will say, this college football playoff is pretty wide open. Like, you don't look at this and be like, Oregon as the number 1 is definitely going to win this thing. Like, it was going to be some chaos. And I'm not saying they're going to win, but even a team like Boise State at 60-1, if SMU upsets Penn State, who has struggled against top 25 teams, Boise State could beat SMU, and now they're in the Final Four, and you got them at 60-1. that's a great cash out option.
That's a nice cash out option. Yeah.
So
Especially
it's just like there's so many ways to be betting the college football playoff right now, and so many good odds out there. So yeah, I'm excited. I mean, I'm gonna probably bet a few of these teams, to be honest. But cash out options will be, a narrative in one or two of them.
I like that. I like your angle too on the cash out option, and that's why I was looking at these longer odds. And once you get, like you said, you get in on that Final Four, you get in the semis, and you're going to get some good odds on that buyback, however you want to play it. So let's see if we can get some house money to play with.
Yeah. Before we get into the bowl games, I want to read this promo ad. Stars of the PGA Tour and LPGA team up in Naples for the Grant Thornton Invitational. Find out if Lydia Ko and Jason Day can defend their title in Florida from Friday through Sunday on NBC, Golf Channel, and Peacock. And I want to say, rest in peace, Babs. He passed away yesterday. Friend, a colleague, known him since I've been a little kid. Worked in the golf space pretty much his whole life. So I wanted to say that before we get into the games, since we are talking about golf briefly. But let's get into the games. I had a computer glitch for a second. There we go. We're back up. Yeah, I know it locked. I was like, I'm ready to talk about the Salute to Veterans Bowl, Montgomery, Alabama. South Alabama, a 7.5-point favorite versus Western Michigan. Total at 57.5 Saturday at 9 p.m. Excuse me. It's funny, boys. We're all on the same bet in this game.
It's crazy.
And this was a bet that I took early in the season before Mr. Fluff Bothwell took over the reins of the backfield. But I want to talk about this game from just like a kind of a betting standpoint and let you guys handle the props, since I only took them in my ladder section. I didn't take them as a straight bet. South Alabama is a really talented team, but they do lose. Like I said, they probably are losing Fluff. I can imagine Fluff's going to play in this bowl game. This is the third straight year they're going to a bowl game, right? This is a team that can score at will. It looks like Gio Lopez is probably going to play quarterback. I couldn't get any information. All I got was he's going to stay on the team, which means good news for us. Defensively, not great, but I mean, this is against a Western Michigan team who's not really good, right? Like Western Michigan team who's coming off some pretty bad losses, gave up 42 to Western Illinois, gave up 31 to Bowling Green, lost to Central Michigan. Also, their top pass catcher and Bozma is going to be out as well, top edge rusher. I think, and this is soft, I think South Alabama's going to win. Major Apple had a really good coach. Gets his boys really excited. Pretty much a home game, too. I forgot that, with this game being in Montgomery. I lean South Alabama, but probably not going to bet this game outside of taking my ladder. I'll give it to you, Eric, and tell me a play that you like.
Yeah, with Western Michigan, they rank 112th in S&P Plus, but 120th defensively. They've only 3 FBS games that they have played where they have had a win expectancy over 40%, and they're 1-3 over their last 4 games against MAC competition. Yikes. Leading pass catcher is tight end Blake Bozma. He is in the portal. Their best pass rusher, Corey Walker, also in the portal. Not great. On the South Alabama side, you mentioned their defense, which, yeah, I mean, it's a Sun Belt defense, but it's imbalanced.
Yes.
Their pass defense, terrible. I mean, really bad, 110th in passing success rate, allowing a 65% completion rate. But on the rushing side, not nearly as bad as you'd expect. 13th in opportunity rate. That's excellent. 40th in rushing success rate, which, okay, fine. It's not, first or second, like, with some of the, like Penn State. But this is a good rush defense nominally. When it comes to South Alabama, Gio Lopez, who you mentioned, departed the previous game that they had. So while he's on the team, there is injury question marks that sort of have. I'm not sure how that will end up going, but something you'll want to keep an eye on as the game progresses. And then you mentioned Fluff, and he is the stuff. Bothwell in the portal. I don't think he plays. All of this informs me to just say, I don't see a path for Western Michigan. They're lucky to be here, back their way into the bowl. I think South Alabama lights them on fire. And I have a prop that I will let Vaughn explain.
Yes,
thank you so much. Thank you so much. Yeah, I'm glad to be on the same side as all you guys. But Kentrell Bullock, we like him because Fluff is out here, and as you guys spoke about Gio Lopez. So what I heard about him is that he's expected to play in this game, but he is probably going to be limited. Considering that there's rain in this game too, it could be a run-heavy approach for both these teams, which favors, the under, which has moved from 60.5 down to 57.5. Want to point out, but Bullock actually led this team in carries. So even though Fluff, had more yards, Brad, it had more touchdowns, Kendrell got the ball more often, and he's been pretty good over the last 7 games with double-digit carries in 6 out of 7, 200-yard games in that span, and 3 on the year. So with the rain factor, all the opt-outs, and the defense that he's facing, particularly that Eric broke down with the rushing numbers, I mean, it also sets a Bullock to have a pretty good day. So if you shop around, which Eric found at MGM at 73.5, I actually played at 75.5. So make sure you're shopping around getting the best numbers, but he'll also be mentioned in our ladder section too.
As deservedly so. And we'll get into that because on Western Michigan side, just to put a little color on this play, I mean, they're getting mauled on the ground. 203 to Eastern Michigan, 167 to Central Michigan. Their offense has been barely even had a pulse. 226 to Bowling Green, 255 to NIU, and then 242 to Buffalo. Guys, that is horrible. Good luck. You can't take an under position here against this run defense. And with what South Alabama is looking to do, I mean, go get him, Kentrell.
Yeah. Yeah. I was going to save this for the ladder spot, but I thought this was pretty fascinating. You talked about the big numbers that these teams are running against Western Michigan. They're also running the ball so many times, 4.9% more rush rate against than any team in the country. It's absolutely insane. Teams are running. Let's get to the Scooters Coffee Frisco Bowl in Frisco, Texas. This is actually my favorite time of year because all of these crazy names and crazy sponsors. Memphis versus West Virginia. Memphis a 3-point favorite. Total set at 58.5. Another night game Tuesday at 9 p.m. I lean Memphis here. I think Memphis is the better team. Seth Hannigan, I thought this was pretty cool. Went to school at Billy Ryan High School. Who else went there? Dylan Gabriel went there. But it's close, right? Like 20 miles away. He's playing in a home game. We saw what happened when I think it was Sawyer Robinson played against I'm drawing a blank there. But when these kids play close to their homes, they normally ball out. Also, they're playing against a really bad West Virginia defense. West Virginia 127th to the drop back on defensive success rate. EPA per play on defense against the drop back, 104th. Also, I think that West Virginia are probably going to have some opt-outs here. Generally, when your coach gets fired or your coach leaves, you have dudes hit the portal. We already saw Josiah Trotter hit the portal, their best linebacker. Garrett Green's dealing with the nagging injury here. It's going to be interesting. I think what's more interesting about West Virginia, outside of how they fare in the postseason, is who comes in at quarterback. We saw quarterback coach from Ohio State, just interviewed for the job. Rich Rod just interviewed the job. I know quarterback coach, wide receiver coach. I keep drawing blanks on these names. There's so much information in my head, but there's a lot of good guys going for this job to kind of turn this program around. It's going to be really nice. I don't have a bet, so I'll quit talking. Vaughn, what do you like?
Yeah, my people's parlay pick is in this game. I actually like Memphis. I'm going to buy into the movement as well because Memphis opened at 3.5 points as an underdog in this game. Now they're a 3-point favorite. So the time to actually buy on
underdogs?
Yes. When they opened up, I don't know. And that's the thing. I don't understand what would make them underdogs. But maybe the coaching news is the biggest factor. And a couple of those opt-outs you guys that Brad just spoke on is what made West Virginia here become the bigger dogs. But I think the Sharps are lining up on Memphis for a big reason. 35 seniors on this Tigers team. 35 seniors. These guys, of course, want to go out and cap their career in the right way. They're not going to opt out. So I think Memphis is a good bet. I think that's probably the driving factor besides a West Virginia team that's kind of in transition right now with opt-outs, head coaching change. Memphis is a team that you know what you're getting when they go out there on the field. So, I played them on the money line and -2.5, and I think that's the 3 is the last number you want to be playing, but could get ugly.
Yeah, with West Virginia, they've posted 2 FBS victories with win expectations above 52% in their last 7 games. They are 3-4, but their highest win expectancy was, again, 52%, a coin flip against Cincinnati. They won 31-21. But in the others, they recorded a 38% win expectancy or less in 6 of those games against Big 12 opponents. That's pathetic. Defense is terrible, 86 in S&P plus, and as Brad pointed out, 132nd in 3-and-out rate. They don't get any 3-and-outs. 130th in points per scoring opportunity. So not only are you dealing with the coaching staff turnover, just overall tumult within the program, but their defense is getting lit on fire, and they don't generate turnovers. Just 11 turnovers for the defense. That's 118th in the country with a -6 turnover margin on the squad. With Memphis, the first loss, they dumped a 56-44 game against Navy because they just couldn't handle the triple option. But since then, won 7 of 8. Their most recent loss was against UDSA, right? Had an 87% win expectancy. Everything fell apart down that second half. They should have won that game. But that's their only loss they've had besides Navy. 15th ranked offense in the country, 10th in EPA per rush, 35th in EPA per dropback. So they're balanced. They're not explosive particularly, but defensively, 11th in rushing success rate, 59th in completion rate. They give up big plays, 132nd in marginal explosiveness. It's their Achilles heel.
Yeah.
But can West Virginia capitalize on that? I don't know. I don't know if they can. We don't even know what opt-outs they're going to have because you're going to Cole Taylor, tight end. You could have a Wyatt Millum, who is their starting tackle. I don't know what we're getting out of West Virginia, and Memphis seems to be pretty much intact. I got to go with Memphis. Give me. I'm right there with you, Vaughn.
Let's go.
The boys are making me kind of jealous. Let's get to our ladder plays. I'm on Kentrell Bullock, 100 plus 210 over there on DK for anybody interested. The dude's going to be the lead back against a really bad rush defense. We already talked about. He's already hit this number 2-3 times this season. I think they carry the ball. I think he carries the ball a ton with no one really splitting that action with him. So that's my ladder. Vaughn, I know you have a couple others, but just go ahead and tell me. I know you're going to go ahead about Kentrell Bullock as well.
I mean, those same reasons. He's going to be the lead back in that game. Like I said, run game, quarterback's injured right now. I mean, everything just sets up for him to have a big game. So 100+ yards is something I played too. And I had some fun. Shout out to Eric last week for hitting on the Daily and Kanye plays because that gave me a little opportunity to have some fun. Yeah, Yeezy was on fire. Big 72-yard run, baby. We love to see it. But Bryson Daly also is finding himself getting in the end zone. So when I looked at the numbers a little more, Bryson Daly has scored the first touchdown in one of their games 4 out of 11 times, and he's thrown a passing touchdown on 4 out of the other 7. So this guy is actually like accounting, 8 out of 11 games for their first touchdown, whether it's passing or rushing. So I played Bryson Daly, first touchdown, and parlayed that with our guy Kentrell Bullock for the first touchdown of the game. Okay. So they are favorites at a home game, basically. And we've seen the home favorites in bowl season go 2-0 so far. That is 14-1 odds. So we're only running out of time, guys. Almost 15-1. We're only running out of time to get some bangers on the show. So that's what I like.
I don't blame you at all, buddy. No problem on that, Cap. Frankly, I think we could run it back with Yeezy once again. I don't think that's a one-time deal. He's gone over 100 yards, 5 times? Yeah. Is that going to stop? I don't think so. Because look at Navy, right? Backpedaled in the postseason. 2-3 in their last 5. Got pounded by Tulane, 35-0. And remind me, what did Army just do to Tulane? Oh, that's right. They ate their lunch and sent them packing. And that's a team that beat Navy 35-0? Nope, not on my watch. Nope. Give me Yeezy again. No 808s and heartbreaks on this, right? Is that his first album, Kanye?
Yeah, good job. Yeah, good job.
808s and heartbreaks. Look at that, guys, huh? I think that you can take a look at Kanye. Went over 150 last game. His 120 plus is plus 550. His 110 plus is plus 380. And his plus 100 is plus 280. We got that dream 42.5 rushing yards line last time. Unfortunately, that's probably, that's shot up to 65.5. We don't quite have that same boost, but I cannot find a reason why he won't go and pop 100 yards again. I think they're going to crush Navy.
Yeah. I like to say too that 808s and Heartbreak is arguably one of the most classic Kanye albums. It is the 4th album that came out, Eric. It wasn't the first, but 2008 was a great time in my life as a youngin', and Kanye West was responsible for a lot of that music. So, nice shout out.
Look how contemporary I am, guys. Look at this.
You're a beast, Eric. You're a beast there.
Look at you doing it all.
Army, Navy, Saturday, 3 p.m. Total set at 39. Get your popcorn ready because Doesn't matter who the better team is that year. Anybody can win. I'm going with Army minus the 6.5. It is also in my people's parlay. We mentioned Army last week and how they went through that tough run of playing really good defensive fronts, right? They played Notre Dame, then they played UTSA. Then you saw what happened when they played against Tulane. Now they play against Navy. Not a good defensive front, allows really big gashing runs. Horvath might not play either, which helps a lot. We have Bryson Daly, who, he had 4 touchdowns last week? The dude's insane. I'm going with Army. I think they blow this one out. This is a really good offense. It's 2 subpar defenses, right? But one really good offense versus an offense that is going to be reliant on their quarterback to be 100%. I don't even know if he's going to play in the game. I'm taking Army minus the 6.5. Eric, do you have anything for this one?
Yeah, I mean, look at Army, undefeated, 10-0 when allowing less than 5 yards per rush this season. Pretty darn good. Navy, 3-6 against the spread when averaging less than 5 rush YPC since the 2023 season. That is the 10th worst in the FBS. The average is 43%. They're winning 27% of the time. And Navy has tackled opponents for a loss on just 48 of 408 rushing attempts, a 12% TFL rate. That is the 16th worst in the FBS. I just can't see it happening here, guys. I am on Army's money line. Or, I mean, hell, if you want to lay the points, I'm fine with that too. I have a best bet in this game that will be going over in the People's Parlay. And with the Horvath factor, I would look to see what's happening up until game time. Yeah. And the reason why is because Eli Heidenreich is listed out there. I'm not sure. I don't have them completely up. Listed in his receiving yardage, I want to say in the 50 yards range. And with Horvath out, I have real questions about the consistency that Navy's going to be able to stretch the field. He's listed right now, Heidenreich, at 40.5 on Bet99, 37.5 on BetMGM. He didn't catch any passes 2 games ago. If we got no Horvath, I don't think Heidenreich does hardly anything. I think that's a death knell for their passing game. I would keep an eye on that situation heading up into game time and act accordingly if Horvath is up.
Yeah. And how could you not like Army in this spot? I mean, it sets up well for them. I mean, I played the opening under at 42.5, and I barely played it for half a unit because I don't believe in the Service Academy unders anymore. I think that might be a thing of the past, Christmas past. So I was kind of approaching this as it's Army or pass, absolutely on the spread. But the time for Bryson Daly and his plus 100 or better props are passing. I mean, Brad, you were texting us earlier saying, I am watching people pound this guy's props right now into the ground. And I was watching the same thing. His 2 touchdowns has down to plus 110 now, plus 100 at some spots. Him to get 125 plus rushing yards is now becoming minus 110 or more juice than that. So the only thing that's really out there left is that first touchdown score for Daly, something that I do like in this one. But I did take a look, and I wanted your guys' opinions on this, so feel free to jump in, Brad or Eric. Daly's under passing yards, 68.5, willing to get down with that if they have a positive game script, or do you like his over 0.5 passing touchdowns, something that he actually has done this year, and it's plus 150 odds?
Ooh, that's intriguing. I do think that they own this game. I think they own it. I think, and I don't think they stop because, again, this is a rivalry game. This has traditionally been a low-scoring affair, but Army is just rolling over teams. I agree. We'll get to the People's Parlay where I also have a play on this. But Bryson Daly, we got him at 2-1 to go over 1.5 rushing touchdowns last week. Congratulations on doubling your money in easy fashion. Do you know that he's still at 1.5 rushing touchdowns? He's still plus 120 out there.
Plus 120. That's a good price. That'll be gone soon,
dude. If you go on Prize Picks, he still has a demon symbol, which is you're getting extra juice. We're not even getting it even money. We're still getting it at plus juice, and it's happened 9 out of 10 times, including last week when he ran for 4. I mean, you could probably we could look at 2.5 rushing touchdowns, the over, which is probably going to be around 250, 3-1, and still consider that with how dominant Army has been and with how bad Navy looked against Tulane, in common opponent, just all around, it's a bad spot for the midshipmen.
You heard it here. I did want to add this too, right? Like we've seen this throughout the entire season where teams play against like lackluster opponents, right? Or not weak competition, and they start to get exposed throughout the season. And that kind of happened to Navy. It happens time and time again. Army, they've played some really tough teams, and they've had their battle test. Now they're playing in a rivalry game where I expect them to just come out guns blazing, really excited. So I'm glad the boys are in agreement here. Before we get into the People's Parlay, I want to let you know that it's an NFC battle in the Pacific Northwest on Sunday night when Jordan Love and the Packers square off with Geno Smith and the Seahawks. Coverage of the matchup begins at 7 p.m. Eastern, only on NBC and Peacock.
As you all know by now, we've teamed up with BetMGM this season. We'll be using BetMGM lines to make all our picks, and we'll have special offers for our listeners each week. If you haven't signed up to BetMGM yet, use bonus code BETEDGE, and you'll get up to a $1,500 first bet offer on your first wager with BetMGM. Here's how it works. Download the BetMGM app and sign up using bonus code BETEDGE. Deposit at least $10 and place your first wager on any game, and you'll receive up to $1,500 in bonus bets if your first bet loses. Just make sure you use bonus code BETEDGE when you sign up. See BetMGM.com for terms. 21 plus only. U.S. promotional offers not available in New York, Nevada, Ontario, or Puerto Rico. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Available in the U.S. Call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369 in New York. Call 1-800-NEXT-STEP in Arizona, 1-800-327-5050 in Massachusetts, 1-800-BETS-OFF in Iowa, 1-800-981-0023 in Puerto Rico. First bet offer for new customers only, subject to eligibility requirements. Rewards are non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire in 7 days in partnership with Kansas Crossing Casino and Hotel. Don't forget, if you haven't signed up for BetMGM yet, use bonus code BETEDGE and get your $1,500 first bet offer today.
The People's Parlay. Eric's the only person who is in the even or above on the People's Parlay, and that's Mr. Eric Froton. I went with Army Moneyline. Already talked about it here. Don't need to be a dead horse. Whoa, Eric and Vaughn are going head to head. Eric, go with your People's Parlay leg.
Oh boy, Vaughn. Well, I mean, I understand historically, Vaughn certainly in this matchup has killed me without a doubt. But this is a new year, right? This is 2024, and this is the 2024 Army team that we have obviously discussed at length already here today. But I just think that at 39.5, we saw it open at 38. It's ticked up on the game total. Man, after that 35-14 against Tulane, 29-24 against UTSA, and just the string of 30-plus point games that we've seen Army just rattle off against their AAC opponents. I'm sorry. I don't think Navy can stop them. I don't think they stop them at all. Maybe Navy gets in there a little bit. I think they can probably score a couple touchdowns. They can probably at least keep it respectable. But I think we're looking at a 20-plus point blowout. I might even consider the alt lines here and juice it up to try to get a more favorable return. I think it's a massacre, and I think there's going to be points. I'm going over Army Navy at 39.5 points, and I'm holding my nose.
Yeah, I like it. Like I said, I couldn't make the under an official bet on here. Played it at 42.5 and still felt like it was probably a losing bet because Navy could put up 35 themselves. And you get a touchdown from Army or touchdown from Navy, and that pretty much hits the over. So yeah, I'm with you, Eric. I hate to be it. I mean, if you want to roast beef it up, maybe we hit the middle here, but it's probably your most free roast beef sandwich. I like Memphis money line as my pick. As I said, 35 seniors. I mean, we know what we're getting from the Tigers here in this spot against West Virginia team in transition. So Army Navy over 39, Army money line and Memphis money line. $10 pays off 44. We're in desperate need of a winner, and I like this one.
Season's running out.
It's been crazy. I was counting the other week, so I get this 7 of the last 9 weeks. 2 of us have won our bets and 1 person has lost in 7 out of 9
Oh my
weeks.
God.
So, it's just one of us. Just one of us.
2 out of 3 ain't bad unless it's a parlay, right?
Yeah. Right. Like if we just keep those numbers up and we're just betting round robins all season,
we're paying.
Would be great. Maybe that's what we do. The round robin of the week next year.
Honestly.
That's our play.
It only took us 16 weeks.
It only took us.
Let's give our best bets here. I did a little parlay, South Alabama money line with over 50.5 points, -121. I think South Alabama rolls this. I actually think they can get close to covering the over themselves. Defense is solid, right? Not great though. They have given up some points. I think they can give up 14 here. I'm asking for 17. Give up 17 points in this game. And we hit that over 50.5. That is my best bet. Eric, go with your best bet. 9-6. Oh, I'm 10-5. Forgot to say the record. Eric 9-6. Go ahead.
9-6. Hey, we're looking to keep this rolling, guys. I got one.
Yes, sir.
So good. I'm apprehensive about this even being available when we get to it, and we're going back to that aforementioned game with Western Michigan against South Alabama, and we're going in the backfield. All right, it's clearly been a 2-headed situation there, but now it's even kind of become 3 because Jalen Buckley has pretty much taken over the RB1 role, but then Zahir Abdus-Salam has also kind of weaved himself into the mix. And it's been at the expense of Jaden Nixon. All right. Jaden Nixon over the past 3 games. Okay. November 12th at Bowling Green, 7 carries for 24 yards. Against Central Michigan, November 19th, 6 carries for 9 yards. And the last game against Eastern Michigan, he had 3 carries for -4 yards. Somehow, some way, one of the algorithms picked this up and decided to list Jaden Nixon, stop the presses, over 60 yards. He listed him at 61 yards. Oh my God. All of it. All the money. 10-unit play. Get every cent you can on Jaden Nixon right now. Under
Sign me up.
61.5 rushing yards.
All right. I mean, I don't know how I follow that up. 10-unit play to Kentrell Bullock. Get us out of the dirt. Get us out of the mud, Kentrell, please. Followed up a 15-6 best bet year last year with 4-13 this year, guys. I've had to go from sides to totals to first quarters to only my second player prop for the best bet section. So Kentrell Bullock, please, please, please get your 15, 20 carries, get dirty in the rain, and score some touchdowns, but go over that 75.5 rushing yard mark. So still hopeful, gentlemen. This is the year. This is the season of opt-outs where we get good value on a lot of guys, and I think Bullock is one of those guys. So let's go.
It's the best to get this kind of value on guys. Like you just got to be quicker than the books. But anyways, fellas, I think we went under the time that we estimated
under?
the projection.
No, it's 43
rare.
exactly now. So
No,
I mean,
I still have a few bets to give out. I have
Yeah,
my end of the show bets.
Yes, go ahead, Eric. Save
We're
the
hitting
over.
this over.
Save the over.
We set it at 43.5, and we're going over. And you can thank Phil Maffa for that. 59.5 rushing yards he's currently out there at. If you have the opportunity to take that under, you simply have to. Anybody who watched that SMU versus Clemson game knows that Phil Maffa's shoulder it has a massive contraption on it in order to try to alleviate all the pain that he's been going through. You saw after every single run, you saw Maffa coming up and just rotating that shoulder. It's like, you saw it every time. He didn't even see the field hardly in the first half, but Haynes, who is more of an all-purpose type back that they needed, they wanted to have a little bit of juice in the passing game out of him. He got hurt in the second half. That's the only reason why we even saw Maffa in the second half. And he got like 8 or 9 carries in that second half as they're trying to salt the game away. But he's just 13 carries, 28 yards. And now, Clemson's going to have to go in there and deal with Texas. And you're going to have an already hobbled Maffa coming in there with a bad shoulder. I know he's going to have a little bit of extra time to prep, but he's only going to have an extra week. This isn't waiting until January 1st anymore for these bowls. They're going on the 20th. So he doesn't have forever to come back from this, and he's just looking plodding out there. I think that they're in big trouble with Maffa. I don't think that he's going to be able to carry the ball with the same ferocity that he has, and against an SEC caliber defense in Texas, which I think it's pretty reasonable to expect that Clemson could be in a chase situation. In that case, then you're not even going to see Maffa out there. If it's in a pass script, give me that under 59.5 rushing yards.
Okay.
Like that.
Do you have any others for us?
I am going to go. Yeah, let's go. Let's go with one more. Right, because I have to leave a lot of meat on the bone for next week.
Yeah.
So I want to try to be respectful. That being said, Antonio Williams, Clemson, is listed at 43.5 receiving yards, not 43.5 minutes of the show, mind you, 43.5 receiving yards. Guys, Antonio Williams is destroying this number. Again, I know they're playing Texas, but I think the script is what really it works for us here, because they're not going to be able to run that ball that much. I think Texas is going to be able to score on Clemson's, explosive pass, giving sort of a secondary. But with Williams, 50, 99, 72, 149, 48, 25, he has gone under this mark just twice all season long, of 43.5, and in an extremely competitive game that they need to do everything they can. There's no tomorrow if they lose. Give me that over 43.5 receiving yards. I think you get it up over 50 by the time this game kicks off. So I think you get a lot of value there. And that's a wrap.
Right. Ladder that man up. And we went over the total. And we are super thankful for everyone who tunes in and listens to us every single week. Don't forget to check out NBCsports.com for more information to help you with your wagers. Thanks to those of you watching on our NBC Sports YouTube channel. And if you're listening to us in podcast form, don't forget to subscribe and rate us. Also a reminder to find all of your favorite NBC Sports shows on Amazon Music. Just head to amazon.com/NBC Sports. For Eric Froton and Vaughn Delzell, I'm Brad Thomas. Best of luck this week.